So, Rachel, this is an interesting topic, rhythm and ritual, and I'm curious why you've chosen it and why you think it's important.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit of a topic that probably isn't discussed, especially in the world of perimenopause and menopause. But, for me, I have really found so much healing and have also really seen healing with my clients with this. And the reason is because, ritual is really just an opportunity for intentional space. And when we are in perimenopause, we sometimes get stuck in this idea that we're doing and doing, and we need to do more protocols and we need to, add more to our list. And we get into kind of a robotic mode, and we're really not in tune with what the rhythm of our own body is. And as we know, in perimenopause, that rhythm changes. And for many women, especially the women that I work with, and I can say this for myself, you know, um, I'm a doer and, I'm a go-getter, and I sometimes quantify worth with how much I get done in the day and, the tasks, and we start to override our nervous system. We start to override what really our body is needing at the moment. And also, when women come to me, um, a lot of times they are in a state of fight or flight already. And so then they're coming to me and they want to lose weight and they want to feel better. And so they're geared up mentally to start the diet, do the protocol, do all the supplements. Many of them have already done so many things, yet they really haven't found space in their day to slow down and be intentional and embody this new identity that they are kind of looking to step into. And so, personally for me, having gone through 6 to 7 years of just really intense health issues, autoimmune things, survival, uh, and dealing with, thyroid, autoimmune, breast implant illness, a breast cancer scare, my body it was equipped, it was ready to go, like with the next thing, like let's do it, let's solve the problem. Oh, I can take that protocol on, like I can take these pills, I can eat this way. But everything was so um robotic, and I wasn't really listening to my own body. And so when I started to integrate, this idea of ritual, which really is just like intentional practices. It doesn't have to be, I think sometimes hear this word ritual and they think about like these intentional big ceremonies or something. It's really just a way of slowing down and creating small habits in an intentional way. Um, I mean, every culture, at least in America, we have really gotten away from this. We have replaced ritual with to-do lists and screens and distractions, and we are disassociated from our bodies. And women are super disassociated because we have so many roles that we are trying to be, and it's really just not possible to do all of those well, and we start to lose ourselves. And so, that's where I kind of started doing this on my own. I became a sacred ritual guide, and I integrate this on a deep level for clients, meaning I'm doing like in-depth ritualistic type meditations and check-ins with my clients that help with grief, that help with connecting with their higher self, legacy work, um, things that are a little bit deeper. But on a day to day, for like practical things, there are several ways that you can just kind of integrate this into your day and slow it down. And these are where those times are really when the downloads come, when you really are starting to have the aha moments, when you are able to have the moments of like really connecting with your intuition. And that's power for women. I mean, that is where the power is.
Mm. Okay, and can you give us some examples of, I mean, you've mentioned a few. But what is
Uh,
something someone could do by themselves, for example?
yeah, I mean, um, something as simple as, when I really like with my clients to start with, morning and evening rituals. And many of us already have these rituals. But we're doing them kind of out of habit, right? So, in the morning, we get up and, what's the first thing you do? If we're being honest, most of us pick up our phones,
Yeah.
right? Especially women who are, high performers working from home, have children, they're trying to, that's how they start their day. And so what I would offer is to um, 3 to 5 minutes the second you get out of bed, before the world comes at you, before everything is a distraction, before you're even overwhelmed, you're grabbing your cup of coffee, you know, do some breath work, do a little stretching. I like to, I'm half asleep. My journal is right by my bed, and I write, 3 to 5 things that I'm grateful for. It really sets the tone. It doesn't have to be this elaborate thing, but I will say that it shifts the priority. It also teaches your nervous system that you are important and that you nurturing yourself is really important. And I think that unconsciously, that's a message that we need to be sending to our nervous systems multiple times a day. Um, you know, Evening wise, I love any sort of like self-love type practices. Obviously taking baths or even a shower, like water is cleansing, it's purifying, it moves energy. Um, it can be a great transition, especially for women who, and so many of us are now working from home. We don't have that commute time, right? So, like, what's your commute? What's your transition time? Because otherwise, you're just like, working all the way up till, and then what's happening, like you have something else scheduled, the kids are coming in the door, your partner's coming in, you're doing the laundry, you're doing all these things, and you haven't changed your clothes, you haven't taken any space to process the day, you haven't really stepped outside. So all of those things are really grounding. Incorporating essential oils, or like I said, doing a bath or a shower, even something as simple as lighting a candle, you'll be surprised at the power of bringing in elements into ritual. So even if you are, hey, I've had a shitty day, and I'm going to light a candle and I'm going to let this go, and just ground really quick, and then move on with your day. It shouldn't be overwhelming. It should feel like something that you look forward to, but yeah, having that time for like breath and nourishment for yourself can be really important. And I mean, some families, practices, religions, whatever, they will do this, and I encourage clients to do this before their meals, especially when they're on a weight loss journey. Taking 5 deep breaths before they eat, sitting down. I find myself, I'm like I have a little one, so I'm like in the kitchen and I'm taking bites and I'm like giving him food, and I'm just like, it's like I don't even know, sometimes I'm like checked out, as like I'm like, what did I even eat? Was it good? Am I full? Am I hungry? And that's where that disconnection is. And so it's like, okay, sit down, make get some pretty dishware, like get something cute, that you like to have your food on. And then, really have, a blessing for that, or be grateful for whatever. Again, it's just sending those messages. It doesn't have to be something that like everybody's seeing or noticing. It's for you. And I've really found that it can be fairly profound in the work, because what you're really doing is embodying the practices that you want to into the identity. Instead of just doing the things, you're being the thing. And that is what we really are craving.
Mm. Yeah. And so, what is the impact that you've noticed for yourself or your clients on, is it just the nervous system that calms down, or what else changes?
I think one of the things that comes up is just joy.
Mm,
I mean, this can be maybe a touchy subject, but I think for me, at least in perimenopause, um, you know, when my emotions and my hormones were all going crazy, I started to feel like there was like no joy in my life. And I was like, what am I here for? Like, what is this? What is this? What's happening? And so I think when we pause, when we can find a little bit of joy in some of the just mundane things, there's a shift that starts to happen. Um, and so your lens that you're seeing things through changes, and you can have a very different perspective. And that's really important because if you can step out of that and be in that different perspective, then there's a whole different world that opens up, And for women, we are so in tune and our bodies are so powerful. I mean, really, really powerful. And so energetically, if we can tap into that, um, when we talk about estrogen, like, what we, from a non-scientific level, the things that like estrogen gives us, which is declining, right, in perimenopause, is confidence
mm,
and a little bit of moxie and being able to stand up for yourself and kind of that joy, that pep in your step. And so, you know, I like to think of like embedding some of these rituals and, really fostering a little bit of hormonal balance when you're doing that. The other thing too is that it really helps clients connect their journey to identity. So again, it's like it's honoring and creating space for the part of them it really wants to become, a better version of themselves or change or do these things, and not something that they have to chase because they're embodying what this is. Stop. Sorry, my cat. um,
no problem. Yeah.
yeah, so
Mm. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just noticing that the word pause is in menopause and menopause, and
mm.
maybe we keep that in mind that we need to have these pauses throughout our day. Yeah, it's definitely something I don't do enough.
I think
So,
it's really hard. You
mm,
know, we there's an urgency to our lives, there's an urgency to everything. And I think that's what I also noticed is there's a reprioritization that starts happening where it's like, that's not actually that important right now.
mm,
Or, where am I giving out my energy? And it really doesn't need to be given out, or I'm pouring it out into all these things. And instead of really replacing it with what I really need, which is nourishment and a quick pause. And again, I can imagine that if women are listening to this, they're like, I don't have time for that. Like and I hear that and I feel that deeply, but it's start with 3 to 5 minutes. You have 3 to 5 minutes a day. Like you do have that.
mm.
And watch what drains you and watch what really takes from you. And again, it's like, okay, let's reprioritize, because in this phase we have to reprioritize for our health and for our relationships, and ultimately for the relationship that we want to have with ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. This is something I've noticed too, that women tend to put themselves last and they need to be putting themselves first at this time.
Yes,
It's so
which feels
crucial.
selfish, right? I mean, I don't
Oh,
know about
why?
you,
Why
but
does it feel selfish?
I
Because
don't know, because
we've
I
been
think we're
conditioned
trained.
that way. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
We're conditioned to think that if we put ourselves first, it's selfish.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It's totally crazy. And
Yeah.
I mean, as and I'm sure there are many women, I mean, on HerSpace, it's like this platform of like incredibly, talented entrepreneurs, physicians, breath workers, therapists. And it's like, if they are burnt out and run down and they cannot give to themselves, like, you know, we are not any good to anybody. We're just like trying to pour from an empty vessel. And we're really, again, from a health perspective, you can take all the pills, you can do HRT, you can do the things, but if you're not really taking care of your nervous system, you're going to be going in circles. They're going to be increasing the medication, the supplements or this, and you're going to be chasing a prescription in your life that really is unfinished. It's half of what really you need. I think we think we need more all the time, and sometimes it's quite the opposite. Our bodies are just craving a little bit of attention, and all of those parts within us are craving recognition in
Mm.
some way.
And rest. Yeah.
Rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, rest, sleep, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to share on this topic or?
Um, I mean, I think that really is really the biggest piece that I wanted to kind of share, and really about that reconnection with yourself. And because I think that it can be really challenging and hard to feel isolated and lost, and like your body is betraying you during this time. And so instead of like kind of being at war with your body, that surrender, it can be really important, and saying, okay, I'm gonna take some time. And I would challenge women to schedule this, especially A-type busy women, schedule this in your day. Don't necessarily just rely on, um, oh, today I'll go for a walk, or today. Like, it should be a practice, and it should be intentional, so that, your body knows that it's coming. It knows, oh, it's like, okay, this is for us, and it knows how to relax and be in it. And this also helps with, getting to those layers of shame and guilt, and that why we feel disconnected, because some of that is just self-abandonment. And if we continue on that path when we're in a state of, hormonal fluctuations and health chaos, that can be, really dysfunctional and make things even worse.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so important that to recognize that shame and guilt that is there from what we were talking about before with women being brainwashed into feeling they have to put others first. And I think it's important to point out to women that by taking care of themselves, they can take better care of others, but that shouldn't be the primary goal, right? It should
No,
just be to
exactly.
take care of yourself. And
That's right.
there's nothing wrong with that. That's enough in and of itself.
I
Yeah.
totally, yeah, I agree with that so much. And, that's where, again, I think we're brainwashed as women to not know how to receive without feeling like we have to give something in return. And so, yeah, it should just be enough in our feminine bodies that, hey, we need rest. I'm going to take a rest, and I'm going to do it without guilt or shame or worrying about all everybody else's needs, because I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to do me. You know, and I think in that there also will be a point where women will find power. I witness this in my clients, because when they do that, their true self, their rested self, the regulated self is like, actually, I'm going to say no to that. That pulls my energy, or this relationship, it's not working, or we need to redefine this, or, gosh, I thought I really loved doing this, or I've been doing this, but really I've been doing it out of obligation. And so there's so much power in that, because again, you're moving into that identity that you're craving instead of doing more.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Thank you so much, Rachel. This
Yeah.
has been a really good reminder for me, and I'm sure it will be for others as well. And yeah, if people want to book a session with you, they can find you on the herspace.life website. All your details are there. And yeah, thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
See you.